Oh man, this is really freaking me out.
All right, hey. I guess we're back for a little chat. It's the Ricky, Charlie, and Mikey show.
Yay.
Yay.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, I'm Mike from the OBDM podcast. That's Ricky from the Ripple Effect podcast, and Charlie from Macroaggressions.
That's us.
Man, Charlie's been everywhere lately. Like literally every podcast I listen to, he's on.
It's timed out that way. I recorded the Grammarica interview a month ago, and they just put it on like 2 days ago. That coincided with Conspiracy Farm, and it just sort of worked out that way, where everything kind of got dumped out all at once. So sorry to annoy everybody if you keep tuning in to your favorite shows and seeing my stupid face, but it's not my doing. Well, I guess it is my doing, but I don't have control over the schedule.
Well, it's funny because I think that the first time we did this SwapCast, you're like, oh, I congratulate you for doing podcasts. And you're like, oh, like the world needs another podcast. Right. But I was just thinking about that the other day. And I'm like, do we ever say like, hey, does the world need another band? Right? Like never say there's enough musicians, right? So the way I look at it is the more good podcasts that are out there spreading truth, going against the grain, the better.
Well, I agree with that for sure. I mean, as long as there's, as long as it doesn't get to the point where every single person has a podcast, then it becomes, a bit much. But considering the censorship that we're having and things like that, you get a new one that springs up because somebody else has been taken off the air. So it's
that's one of the things I wanted to bring up to you guys, because I'm sure you're aware of the Joe Rogan signing for Spotify. And initially my first reaction was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then you think about it, and obviously, I don't know if you guys heard that little Alex Jones, that little Alex Jones audio just reminded me of it. How Alex Jones said that Joe Rogan told him that he's fighting back against Google and YouTube. So to me, I think it's a good thing, because right now there is a monopoly with YouTube, Google, all that stuff. I mean, it's just you're seeing it over and over again where stuff's being censored. I mean, even big shows like London Real, he'll have controversial people on there, but he doesn't really endorse them in regards to really just endorsing free speech and having the right to hear their ideas. And people like him, and he's fighting back. He just released a little video on his YouTube channel, I think a day or two ago, or maybe even longer ago, talking about how he believes that it's just a matter of time before he's completely off YouTube. And it's just, I was waiting for somebody who's tech savvy, somebody like London Real who has the resources to fight back, somebody like Joe Rogan who has the resources to fight back, because I think everybody's striving for a alternative. There's just a lack of really good alternatives. And if Spotify, my understanding is Spotify is going to also be doing video.
I was blown away by that. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, me either. I didn't know they were even getting involved in video. So the fact that they're kind of going to, podcasts. I mean, my podcast has been on Spotify since they started doing it. I'm sure your guys is also.
Yeah, we're on there.
Yeah. So, they've been in the realm of podcasts for a while. And if you use the app, it makes sense to kind of have it all on one app, music, podcasts, all that stuff. But I like it. I kind of like the fact that maybe they will become a better alternative in regards to restrictions and all that. I mean, iTunes has been super restrictive. I had issues with Del Bigtree when he was on last time, and I know just about everybody who had Del on has magically had iTunes issues. So, I mean, I think people are getting sick of this. And to my understanding is that Joe has had some frustration with streaming on YouTube, with like just being pulled because of, a clip of a song or some video that they're talking about and just showing a clip of it. So I think a lot of people are just kind of fed up with it. And for a while it was a monopoly. And now, because Spotify is willing to invest and get into that realm, it might make YouTube and Google kind of second guess harassing people, because now they're like, well, people are just going to go over to this other platform.
They don't. So I agree with you. The competition is healthy. Joe Rogan probably has a pretty good licensing deal. So hey, you can't censor my speech or my guests or have really any input in that. If we could all get the Joe Rogan license, not necessarily the money, but the freedom of it, great. But they also, Spotify is going to have to work on its algorithm, how it interfaces with Google. And are those episodes in Spotify going to be searchable and indexed by Google? Because the great thing about YouTube is its algorithm and its recommendation ability. Without that, Rogan's got the brand, he's got the name, people are going to search him out. But if you're just a lowly podcaster like me, you're not going to be recommended as much as you would with certain clips on YouTube. But within the past year, YouTube doesn't recommend anything I do. So I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. That was kind of what we liked about YouTube for a while, was the fact that I can search a documentary on the Federal Reserve or on false flags or whatever it may be, and then it would give me more videos to go further down those rabbit holes, right? But now that's not happening. I mean, James Corbett has said over and over again that, his videos, and I've attempted to do the same and search it by the exact title and see if it comes up. And in many cases, you'll find it on other people's YouTube channels, but you won't find it directly from his YouTube channel. I know the Federal Reserve documentary, Century of Enslavement, was a perfect example of it, where you could search the exact title, Century of Enslavement, James Corbett or Corbett Report, whatever, and it'll pop up. But on other people's channels, even though his channel has the most views and is, most likely the one you're looking for. So I think even having that niche of having this great system where you would get recommended stuff that you're looking for and whatnot, I think even that's kind of gone.
Did you see the Alex Jones clip yesterday, when about a 20-minute clip where he was talking about his conversation with Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I did.
Exactly.
I saw it. No. I listened. But he claimed to have a little conversation with Joe, and Joe was basically acknowledging that, he's had to do, and he basically had to curtail a certain amount of what he says and his speech just to be a little bit more active on YouTube and to play nice with what YouTube wants. Right after he signed a deal, Joe, he came out and started talking about Obamagate, which is quite interesting. And Alex basically said Joe is aware of all the big tech censorship, the new world order, and all the heat that really is coming down. And that supposedly Alex Jones, Joe Rogan was very concerned when Alex was taken and deplatformed in a very coordinated effort. So I think Joe was just kind of biding time and looking for an exit. And if he happened to sign a $100 million deal for 5 years on Spotify, God bless him. Yeah,
it was great. I mean, what he said, and you never know how much of Alex's version of the conversation is accurate. But he said in that conversation was that that he had it written into his contract with Spotify that Alex Jones would be allowed on there and would be his first guest.
Oh wow, I missed that part. But hey, that's very important.
I mean, I guess if you're gonna, if you're talking about it at the meeting table, and then you say, well, you say it's fine, but let's put it in the contract.
That's like an old Van Halen writer. Like Van Halen said, we'll play this gig. We only want brown M&Ms though. If there's any red M&Ms in there, we're leaving.
Alex Jones is the brown M&M of alternative media.
Exactly.
It's the shampoo.
It is the shampoo. Well, good. I hopefully it works out better for all of us. And maybe that is a shot across the bow for YouTube to kind of like not come down so hard on stuff, especially when talking about CV.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, YouTube has big problems with that. They are, I think if anyone was, maybe people on the, were thinking, oh, this is only happening to fringe, content creators or people that are, making too much noise, or they're way off the rails and YouTube is censoring. That's actually not what's going on. They're censoring all kinds of people in a variety of different topics. Anything that is off of the established mainstream narrative, if you start getting off that, they find some weird excuse to demonetize you, shadow ban you, all these things that they do in secret. And then you've got Zach Voorhees coming forward, former Google engineer, talking about how they had the lists and the code words and all the things that you would put in, anything having to do with the Vegas shooting and the particular school in Connecticut. If you mention those things, all these terms would just nullify your search. And like you said, Mike, everybody knows Google is the biggest search engine out there, but what most people don't realize is that YouTube search is number 2. Of course, it's powered by Google. So there's a lot of control there. They've got the power. They've got the power to make you appear in a search. They've got the power to make it impossible for them to find your videos, like James Corbett has problems with. And for Joe Rogan to leave that, like you said, Ricky, it might turn out to be good for the rest of us, because if he can start peeling off now, Joe Rogan's not going to make a dent in Google's bottom line as far as advertising, but it's not about that. It's about symbolically that you get the number one guy who has a massive following that sees the bullshit at YouTube and goes, oh, he's leaving to go to Spotify because Spotify doesn't do these things. I'm against those things too. I'll go to Spotify as well. So it's smart for Spotify. Obviously, they're a publicly traded company. They have to watch themselves, because these maniacs can go after them and start to put pressure on them as well. And I'm also not totally convinced that the venture capital companies that fund these big tech startups, or in the early days when they're startups, like when Daniel Ek is out raising money for this concept of Spotify, these guys get a seat on your board as well. And I'm not totally convinced that Sequoia Capital and Kleiner Perkins and these venture capital funds are all on the up and up either. So I think you have to also watch out for them, because there's a backdoor way for them to have a little control and a little say in that. And that comes down to the board of directors and what they're doing, who's got a seat at the table. And so obviously YouTube's taken their orders from Council on Foreign Relations and the German Marshall Fund and the Poynter Institute and all these Atlantic Council, all these NGO, globalist organizations. Bilderberg, of course. Who's there? Sundar Pichai or Eric Schmidt or all these guys have been there for years and years and years. So they're in on the plan. And it's becoming obvious that Google / YouTube is no good to do business with, because they will screw you over in the end, because they act just like a government agency where they pretend to be, they're free and they make this available. And then if you get a little bit off the rails with them, they squish you, and there's no repercussions for them because their stock price is through the roof. They're worth, $500 billion. Nobody can really touch them. So it's a great sign for freedom and for independent media, and hopefully Spotify won't cave on this. I mean, maybe they can't contractually with Rogan, but for everyone else that wants to go over there, hopefully they maintain themselves as a platform that doesn't cave into the censorship.
I heard they're only censoring people with big penises, but I that's just something that I heard.
Yeah. Ricky, can you speak to that?
Yeah.
Penis man.
I can't, because I actually haven't been censored yet, so that's a bad sign.
They're censoring me all like crazy for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're all over you, Mike.
I will say, when you look at Valuetainment and London Real, like, I give them a lot of credit. London Real just did I don't know if you guys saw, but they had Dr. Buttar back on. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And they did a show with 150 other doctors, or maybe 160, something like that. And it was crazy. So Dr. Buttar is doing the interview or talking to Brian, the host of London Real. And then they're kind of like, okay, how many of these doctors agree with what he just said? And they're raising their hands, and they're kind of showing you on the screen all these doctors. And all these doctors, you could see their whole name. You could see everything, who they are, their faces. And 99% of the time, they all agreed with the same thing. So when you're seeing all this censorship, when people are like, oh, well, most doctors agree or this, it's like, nah, man. Like, when you're talking about pandemic being censored because you're saying it's one lunatic doctor that nobody agrees with, like, that's not true, and they've done such a great job of creating this like left-right thing where just like now, if you're talking to people about the lockdown real quickly, like it seems like you're talking about politics. I'm like, wait, I'm not saying I'm for Trump or anti-Trump. I'm not saying, it's like everybody who's anti-Trump is for the lockdown. Anybody who is pro-Trump is against the lockdown. And it's like, well, that's you don't have to be in those little groups. Like we can kind of talk about all the issues and then decide. But, over and over again, you're seeing people kind of taking teams based on their political views. and not really looking at this logically. And that's becoming a huge issue. I mean, back to the Rogan thing, like my understanding of what he says, because he put a little video out, it sounds like he's saying, and maybe you guys are right, maybe it's just specifically for him. It doesn't mean that Spotify in the future won't decide to put some restrictions on what people say or what they do on their platform. But for the time being, what Joe Rogan is saying is that for his show, nothing's going to change. He can continue doing it the way he's doing it. He has no restrictions, no censorship. And so let's hope that stays that way, because really a lot of these shows, I mean, even Alex Jones, like him or not, like his show, Joe Rogan show, a lot of these shows, the one thing they all have in common is the fact that you do feel like they can talk about anything and you don't know where the conversation is going to go. And it seems more honest than what you see on TV or what you hear on regular radio. And I think that's what people like about podcasts. That's one of the reasons why podcasts blew up. I mean, it was the same reason why I think YouTube blew up. You know, when Loose Change came out, when Zeitgeist came out, and this was going, viral on these platforms, and you could go down rabbit holes and find all these, cool documentaries that you can't find anywhere else. That's what people liked about it, was the fact that you could get something that was against the grain and some alternative to the mainstream. And that's why we like podcasts, because it was a place where I felt like I could have a show where I could talk about anything and nobody was going to tell me to not talk about that or censor me or whatnot. So, let's hope that podcasts can continue that. I mean, it sucks because YouTube is one of those platforms where Google, YouTube, I mean, all Facebook, even though they suck and there's issues with them, I mean, it is nice to kind of use them to some degree, hoping that even if you get a couple new viewers or fans because of those platforms, it's worth continuously using them. But I think if we get a real alternative, eventually, maybe some real tech savvy person is like, yeah, this is what we need. We need a alternative to these big mainstream platforms, and you get somebody who's way smarter than we are in regards to being tech savvy, and they'll create a really user friendly, nice looking website that will go head to head on YouTube. Because I mean, Mike, you're I'm assuming you're way more tech savvy than probably Charlie and I. I mean, do you think that's been one of the issues with a alternative really coming forward, is the fact that any alternatives that there has been till now haven't been that great, haven't been that user friendly? There hasn't been like, an easy app like YouTube and stuff like that.
One of the major issues is storage. It takes a lot of money to run YouTube, and hosting the video, not even just hosting the video on a server, but then you have content streaming servers, which are servers that are closer to its final destination, so it gets to you quicker. That's why ads can load much quicker than some videos, because those ads are preloaded on those servers. So that takes a lot of money to get up and going. Like BitChute, for instance, that's a great and complicated app, but its UI is kind of janky. It's not that well constructed. If they put a fresh coat of paint on it, it might do a little bit more, but they still have to play in the realm of the regular search engines and the regular internet. It's tough to do. Then you also have things like Minds, which is a great social media alternative. And it might be wise for shows like us to do more controversial shows, to focus on those avenues, because you might have a bigger audience, even though there's a smaller pool to draw from, most likely like-minded people. But for instance, I'm learning a lot more about Amazon Web Services right now, because it's a necessity for my career. Now, I could build a giant, great big app.
Sam! Sorry to cut you off, Mike. Hey, what's up? What's up? Tripoli, what is up, bud? Hey, Midnight Mike, you ever meet Sam?
I have not met Sam Tripoli. I've heard a lot about him. I've listened to his show quite a bit.
Thank you, and it's all lies.
Put some pants on, Sam.
Exactly.
For God's sake.
How are you guys? Thanks for having me on. Sorry, I got to do it on my phone. I'm on dad duty right now, so I can't on my computer, but I'm just super excited to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I figured, it's a Friday night. I figured, Mike,
Is it
Charlie.
Friday? I thought it was Thursday.
It's funny you say that, because the days are blending into one another, and I do need a reminder from time to time, like what day it is. But I figured these Friday night shows, they're Charlie, Mike, and I, they're kind of casual and whatnot. Then I figured, if we all lived together and we're getting together to hang out, I'd probably be throwing the invite to a bunch of other people I think would be cool to add to the conversation to hang out. So I'm like, why not do that in a podcast form? You know, why not throw the invite? I threw the invite out to Whitney Webb and Jeffrey Wilson, a couple other people. I'm like, hey, if you're around, swing by, jump in, and we'll make it an alternative media hangout. And, you know, I'll just chill and have a casual conversation. We were talking about the Joe Rogan thing, about him going to Spotify. You want to throw in your 2 cents on that? How you feel? Do you think it's
super excited for him? Couldn't be happier. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time, and I know there's a lot of like, you know, what? Oh, is he control all this stuff? I just, the Rogan I know is just this dude that is. Good luck trying to get him to do whatever he doesn't want to do. But you know, and then there's this whole thing that, you know, Spotify's owned by, you know, Alphabet, but you know, I honestly believe this is his attempt at getting out of YouTube. And I my opinion is like, if they're asking him to leave YouTube, leave Apple, he's going to have something in their contract that he could do whatever he wants and say whatever he wants. And that's kind of my opinion, that this is a move to tell YouTube to go fuck themselves. And that's my honest opinion. I had a conversation with him 2 days before it was announced, or at least I think it's a day before it was announced. And, you know, he was calling me up to see like how I was doing, because, you know, he heard how I was getting screwed with everything. And we talked, and I'm going to be honest with you, man, he was really upset with the lady who runs YouTube, like really upset that she was censoring doctors and science that were talking about, you know, hydrochloroquine and all that stuff. I'm sure I butchered that, but, you know, that he really wasn't happy with her and what she was doing. And so it's my hope that this is like a punk rock move, which I think would fit what Joe does. And it's $100 million punk rock move, but I love it, dude. So I'm the eternal optimist, and I think it's a great move.
Yeah, we're actually all on board with that. I think we kind of agree that it's good that somebody with his type of power is actually fighting back. And I know when he had Dr. Rhonda Patrick on recently and other people, he has talked about how, you know, it was kind of weird that the CEO of YouTube is censoring people for talking about vitamin C. I mean, things that are just ridiculous. And it's gone to the point where it's just, we need people like, you know, I've talked about it before, like London Real, Valuetainment, Joe Rogan, these big platforms that are willing to kind of fight back a little bit. And yeah, I agree. I think it's a good thing. You've had your issues recently with are you back on Twitter yet? You wouldn't.
No, I still don't have my my original Sam Tripoli Twitter. That's been suspended. I've not been told what tweet got me in trouble. They have not told me why they suspended it. And I am now, you know, trying. I mean, I have my tinfoil hat one, but it's just like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of over Twitter, dude. I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over Jack and his hypocrisy of how he lets some people say something and other people can't say other things. And they're always on the wrong side of the issue every time. And it's like, what are you guys about? I mean, like, you guys are like making decisions that hurt humanity. And to me, that's a bad sign of who you are. Now you just tweeted a slice of pizza, and it sucks we can't even enjoy a pizza now without it being symbolism of something shady. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you know what, dude? I wish Joe Rogan would take 4 million of that 100 million he made and go buy MySpace and just turn it into the most free speech place ever. Because here's the problem we're running into. Every place we want to go to is janky. It's just not as simple as YouTube. It's BitChute. I love them. I root for them. Every time I upload a video there, it's just like, I hope it gets uploaded. I hope it's there. Most of the time, it's still buffering. And it's not, I'm not trying to be negative against them because they are trying, but like, we need a shiny object place. And like 4 mils, for me, it's a lot of money, but for these guys, it's not. You could buy the name. And the whole reason MySpace crashed and burned is because Tom wouldn't sell our data to the intelligence community.
Really?
So they went to him. He's like, kiss rocks, I'm out. And they basically took LifeLog and gave it to Zuckerberg, made up a fake story about those twins. And that's what Facebook came from.
Yeah, I got kicked off Twitter.
Charlie.
Stop showing your dick, man.
I got kicked off Twitter in February for jokingly replying to someone else's tweet saying, when are we going to throw Bill Gates in a volcano? And it's obviously a joke because I don't know of any volcanoes and I don't know Bill Gates and I'm not going to do it. And I wasn't organizing people, but they said I was inciting violence and hatred. And they didn't
exactly what I got.
me. They threw me off. Literally, they said, you're done. If you go to my account, I had to start a new one. So now I have 250 followers. So I look like somebody that, is, new, which of course, my account is new, but it's bullshit. I got to start all over again. Cause what? Cause some computer program doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't get nuance and everything. And it's bullshit. And I got suspended before from responding to Sam's tweet. And Sam said something about, you can't say retarded. And I said, retarded. And it's like, boom, they put me in suspension for a week. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
I got originally suspended for paraphrasing Tropic Thunder. And I would never go fully retarded. And then the guy goes, that's offensive. And then I go, okay, then go fully retarded. And that's what suspended me for a week. And then this came out of nowhere. And it's one of three tweets that got me in trouble. It's either me just retweeting that China has put 5G on the top of the Himalayas or Mount Everest. I don't even know. And then or it could be me talking about the mayor of Chicago, who I call Five Head because she has a forehead plus another floor. So I call her Five Head. She's talking about the New World Order. I mean, blatantly to the point where I think it's meant to get us to fight, nonlinear warfare. Or it's me telling a guy that his mom's asshole is a Stargate that Q used to go back in time and stop Hillary Clinton from winning the 2016 election. So
I read that one. That one was beautiful.
So much anymore.
Sorry, guys. Oops, sorry.
I loved the Stargate tweet. I was a fan of that. But I mean, but you got it. Now you're self-censoring. Now we're all self-censoring. And that's even more devious.
Yeah, that part of it is really scary because I even find myself like sometimes like, oh, if I post this, am I going to be, get in trouble or are they going to,
it truly is racist though. Cause it's only, Candace Owen gets in trouble, but for most part, it's white guys. That's, like that Asian chick at the New York Times who said all white people should die. She didn't get kicked off. That's inciting violence. And it's all done to get us all to fight with each other. And then it's like, how many trolls and bots are there just starting fights with everybody? Like, there's a reason why they don't want you to have to use your real name, right? It's because then they couldn't do that astroturfing, fake movement shit, getting everybody to fight with each other. That's the whole reason they don't make you use your real name on most of these platforms. Obviously, Pornhub, nobody wants to use a real name on Pornhub. But outside of that, like when you're interacting with people, I think you should have to use your real name.
Yeah, that's a dicey one. I get your point though.
I mean, that's it. I mean, like if you're trolling people all the time, it's very easy to troll people when you don't have to use your real name.
Oh yeah,
it's very easy. It's very easy.
Which is why you see more of it on YouTube. You see more of it on Twitter where you can, where on Facebook, you don't see quite as much because of the fact that a lot of times people are using, the real information. So, I mean, I guess that's one of the benefits of YouTube. I mean, the MySpace thing, that's not a horrible idea, to be honest, because, we were just talking about Mike's the most tech savvy person on this podcast. And, he was breaking it down about why it's so hard to create a competitor to these big platforms. Mike, you want to because actually Sam also, if you guys aren't aware, he also has a alternative website called Broken Simulation, which is a similar type idea where you're giving people another option to put their podcasts or whatnot.
Charlie, thank you guys. And Charlie, thank you for uploading there. I'm starting to get a couple people that start uploading their stuff. I just found this new website by this lady named Amy. It's like Amy Says WTF. And dude, her videos are fire, dude. And she's only got like 1,000 subscribers. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's going to be the fun to watch her grow and then lose her fucking channel. But it's going to be a great, I mean, her stuff is fire. But yeah, man, thanks for posting there. I want to get it so that you could upload right to the website, but then that's going to cost me some more money. So you have to use Vimeo or Vimeo, whichever one, and YouTube at this moment. But it's a nice place. I'm trying to get all the conspiracy theorists under one umbrella. So you just go there and you can find all your favorites. And we got a lot of traffic a month ago. Like we all got over 1 million visitors.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in the process of writing an algorithm, a recommendation algorithm that will live on Amazon Web Services. But here's the trick. If Amazon doesn't like what I'm doing or recommending, they can take my stuff off their service. And dealing with all the content, hosting all the content, if it happens to go viral, that I would incur a very large bill from Amazon Web Services. It's no easy or cheap task to build an app. And if it becomes successful and you're hosting a lot of content, then you're just going to get a bill because we want to host and provide links to podcasts and other cool shows and videos. We're not necessarily going to be charging for it, but that's where it's a bit of a pitfall. YouTube primarily runs at a loss and is kind of offset by the rest of the Alphabet company. I don't know how BitChute is making its money besides generous donations or where that content actually lives. And they could be easily cut off from like certain traffic managers like Cloudflare. So yeah, if you're putting everything under one umbrella, great. That's a fantastic idea. But the beauty of YouTube is the recommendation, and that's what I want to build: a conspiracy paranormal podcast recommender.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. And I mean, we all know that YouTube isn't a business. If it was a business, it wouldn't have gotten rid of an algorithm that cost them $80 billion. I mean, that's how powerful our community is. And I get really upset with the people who watch our videos because all they do is like they bitch about YouTube, but the minute you ask them just to go to this other website, they just throw tantrums and refuse to do it. And it's like you're not asking them to get in a plane and fly somewhere or get in their car, drive somewhere. You're asking, just put this website address in your address bar and hit send. And it's that simple. And you change the game. And that's what it's got to get to. People have to wake up. And I know Spotify, again, is owned by Alphabet, but hopefully that will get people to think stop being lazy and going to one website.
Well, Broken Simulation is working nice. I'm more than happy to contribute content there because I get additional eyeballs to it that wouldn't find it otherwise. I put it on YouTube and then I just put the link in there in Broken Simulation and it posts it, and that works great for me. And I'm glad you guys are doing that because we need some place for people to meet, that isn't run by some, if it's run by you, then we know who you are. We know what you're about. And so we know that you're not going to be up there trying to censor people or kicking people out of there. But because we've got to trust the source. You've got to trust the source. And you can't. When you get to these major corporations, you don't know who they're taking orders from. You don't know who, you don't know. So have
Charlie, no, I was going to say Charlie, because Iconic isn't that kind of what he's trying to do with that, David Icke?
Yeah. And my show lives on Iconic as well. It's David Icke's platform. It's ickonic.com, and it's behind a paywall. But like we all know, and we've been talking about, this stuff costs money. I mean, if it was cheap to do it, they'd put it on there and not charge anything for it. But because it costs money to host these things and run this business, you got to charge. And so that's sort of that's the problem. We're so trained to expect all the content for free because we've been getting it, and that's fine. Yeah. The minute you start to put a paywall there, people go, I don't know if I really want that. And I can understand that. But if we're going to get away from this, if we're going to get away from the censorship and the shadow banning and all this, and the alphabet agencies running these multinational corporations and screwing with us, we might have to pay a couple bucks a month. And I don't know that that's too much to ask. So yeah, I'm on Iconic, and that's behind a paywall, but they have a ton of original content there. It's not Netflix. I mean, they charge about the same amount as Netflix. So people go, oh, well, for Netflix, I can get this. And if Iconic, I could, I won't get as much. That's true. That's obviously true. And they're growing. They've only been around since November. So they're coming out of the ground. But we've got to support, platforms that are willing to host this information, because, it's a battle daily for these people.
Here's my biggest issue with everything is that even if you go and do your own thing, they will come and they'll mess with that as well.
They're messing with Iconic.
So I did an episode on whether Hitler was a Rothschild. Answer, here's a hint. Yes. Okay. So, exactly. So I put that on, I put on YouTube, then I took the link and I went to Broken Simulation. I put it on there, right? I do it with every episode immediately as soon as I get uploaded. I get this woman on Twitter goes, hey dude, where's, I think it was episode 312. I'll say, where's episode 312? I'm like, it's on YouTube. He's like, it's not on Broken Simulation. So I go check YouTube. It's gone. And then I go check it on Broken Simulation. It's gone. I'm like, wow, I must not have uploaded it. So then I go and I upload it on YouTube. And when it's about to upload, it goes, error, you already uploaded this video. You can't upload it again. Mm-hmm. So not only did they wipe it off of YouTube, but they went to Broken Simulation and wiped it off of that as well.
Wow.
Because you're using the YouTube link to populate it in Broken Simulation, because I have to do it myself when I go. You take the YouTube link and put it in there. So,
but they took down the post. The post isn't even there. So it's like, yeah. So it's not that the post was there with no video. There was no post.
Oh my God. All. That's WordPress too.
Yeah,
it's connected through WordPress. Oh my God, that's serious business right there.
And that's the whole thing. So it's like, what we need is what Elon Musk is trying to convince everybody he is. Like, that's what we need. Like someone with deep pockets to create a server that does not pile to these guys, like our own version of, Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, that isn't part of this system that would allow us to upload our own video. I am talking way too much. I'm sorry, guys. I had a lot of coffee.
No, it would take hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's definitely possible to do. There's a lot of independent browsers out there. It's just coming up with the right browser plugin and then streaming all your stuff to one server where it is recorded there and then distributed out to other platforms. So it's always preserved on the host server and never stored ultimately on YouTube or Twitch. Like, I have to go to Twitch, download there, edit the video, then it'll go back up on YouTube eventually if they ever take my stuff down.
What we should do, man, is do one of these Zoom meetings with as many of the big names in our genre and have a talk.
All right, I'll leave.
Where? No. You're here. You're in.
First of all, Mike, you're the only person who knows how to do any of this, because if you left, it'd be just a bunch of cavemen trying to figure out how to.
And we would all just sit there and go, where do we all want to go? What is the website that we all want to go to make this thing cook with gas? Because as soon as I got, demonetized on YouTube and I posted it, every single website that's trying to get some action going hit me up. Hey, come here. And it was so many of them. And I'm like, we're just going to be on 18 different websites. And it's just, and that is the hand of the CIA. That's what they do. They create the one thing that that everybody goes to. They create this brand of excellence that everyone goes to. So we have to somehow, some way, if it's possible, do it on our own.
We can't.
I don't know.
It'll be the Union of the Unwanted. And we have
I love that.
And
that is a great name for a band, a podcast, a website.
We got to get together, basically write a form, and then approach places like Gab or Minds or any place like that, any kind of alt tech place, and say, look, we're willing to give you X amount of traffic if you can do X, Y, and Z. We probably could do it. Just take a lot of organization. I'm pretty lazy.
Well, it is one of those things where if we get enough people involved, somebody in the group won't be lazy and help us out. But
well, you know what it is? It's like we all need to just sit down and go, this is what we're going to do. And then we just get a bunch of our super fans who live for this and that would love to be a part of something to help us work on this.
And they're out there. I mean, they're out there. People, I mean, we're all contacted all the time. I get people contacting me. Sam, I'm sure you guys all get contacted all the time. There's people out there who really appreciate what we're doing and what we're attempting to do. And there's going to be somebody out there who has the time on their hands, is tech savvy, who can maybe help out. But you're right. I mean, bringing everybody together isn't a bad idea. I mean, Broken Simulation, I like the idea. Broken Simulation, I like the idea. I've been, speaking of being lazy, I think I started putting up a video. I'm in like the process, ran into a couple of hiccups. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't it working? And then I have to go back to
it's literally the easiest thing, dude. It's just like put the
rub it in.
I mean, like, dude,
I'm just kidding.
I am computer stupid, dude. I am so dumb when it comes to computers, and I just plug, bam, and you're good to go. That's the whole thing. I just want to put everybody. And here's the best part: is you get all the views. You get all the views. You get everyone's like, oh no. I'm like, dude, just put your link in there. You get all the views. I don't get any of the views. I don't want the views. And I just want enough traffic that the ads on there pay for the site and the guy who helps me run it. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah, the guy who helps you run it gave me the instructions on how to post a video. And every time I post a video, I have to pull up those instructions and I go step by step because I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up. And
here's what you do. You go in, you hit new, the content. You come in, the first box you do is you put your title in. The second box right below it, you hit the little like plus symbol on the side. That comes up. A YouTube or a Vimeo logo will come up. Click that. You take your link from your video, put that in there and hit enter. Boom, it comes up. At that point, you don't even have to do anything more. After that, you just copy and paste all the description from your YouTube video at the bottom and you're done. And you hit upload. Done. I am dumb. And it's so easy. And I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling with you.
You lost Charlie at the second box. I think.
But, I have a friend of mine named Tommy G. And this guy, he got into conspiracies. And him and his brother used to listen to my show. And then they started a conspiracy podcast. And it's doing really well. And Tommy G is one of those smart guys, that just knows how to rabble rouse and get people to check out stuff. He does a lot of stuff that I just don't do because he's smart and I'm dumb. But he wants to. He's trying to get investors to create kind of what we're talking about. So I would love to have just a place where people could upload their stuff and it will just be our thing. And he's a crazy guy. He's the best. He's like one of those. He's like a financial genius that just loves conspiracy. So hopefully down the line that, we'll have another place too for all of us to go. But the key is to get us on one, it's like David Icke has his, Alex Jones has his, like that does us no good. Mm-hmm. We got to have like one place where all of us are at. And then, and then we all have to it's kind of what a blockchain is, right?
Yeah.
Like a blockchain is this community, everybody validates everybody else. And then we keep the crazies out who are either going to be controlled opposition or agents of chaos that will come and try to upload kiddie porn just to get us in trouble and do all that dumb shit. You know, that's what we got to do. And it's going to take work, but I think if we all just come together and just maybe get some super fans to help out, we could do something pretty amazing.
Well, Sam's trying to round us up into one place. You hear that?
Oh, shit. That's how it gets. Everybody meet me here.
I like
bring your wives and bring your wives, right? And start a cult.
Hey,
That's how it always starts.
Yeah. Did you guys ever hear you ever talk to Oli Demigard, I believe it was, that was talking about how Building 7, that was everybody who was involved was told to go there to watch, and that's why they collapsed.
I believe it.
I haven't heard that. I had a late night session with Ole in Mexico where we at a bar till 3:00 in the morning talking about Operation Gladio. My brain hurt afterwards. Dude knows so much about all that stuff, but we didn't get on the topic of Building 7. That's crazy.
I think Building 7 is nonlinear warfare. Okay. Why is there 90 camera angles of this building that just randomly goes down? Right. And then we all fight over it. Yet most people don't know about Building 6, and nobody ever talks about Building 6. And it's like, I remember I had Greg Carlwood on my show, and I'm like, yeah, come on, we'll talk Building 6. He goes, you mean Building 7? I go, no, dude, Building 6. And Tim Dillon was the same way. Nobody knows about it because that to me is without a doubt there's something insider went on. And that's why they just put this. I got in a discussion with Rogan. He just didn't want to hear it. But it's like when ABC News allows that teacher to go on and say that cops were shooting kids at that school.
Yes.
That's done purposefully so that the conspiracy community can go, oh my God, look what she said. It confirms. And then you'll always have the other people be like, no, man, it was a lone gunman who shot and killed them. And then we're just arguing all the time.
Yep.
There's no way ABC lets that out unless they're purposely letting it out.
Well, it was always weird how the owner of Building 7 during an interview just says, pull it. You know, he's like, and then I said, pull it. Like the fact that video is out there. And then even the video, what was it, BBC who was reporting that the building fell before it actually fell and it was actually standing up right behind them. It was like all that stuff. It's like, wait, are they that dumb? Or was it a big mistake because there's so much going on? Or like you said, you know, like Sam said, it is one of those things where it was just trying to distract us from something else. And honestly, like knowing the things that we know, like nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Like no theory seems crazy enough for me. Like anything is possible. Are you changing diapers right now, Sam?
No, I'm feeding babies. I'm sorry if they're too loud.
That's all right.
Let me know, dude.
Nice.
I'm sorry, dude.
Are they
Daddy
your babies
duty.
or somebody else's babies?
They're so cute. I question whether they're mine.
Since we got Sam here, I'd like to get his opinion on this clip from 2015. This comes from November 2015. And this is Alex Jones. I know you've interacted with Alex Jones a number of times. You're probably friendly with him. So I'd like to get your opinion on what he says here.
She was threatening those of us that know. Why do you think people know all this about Bill Gates now and his secret meetings on population control? Because we've blown their operation wide open. Because we don't care. We'll go up against them. I hate Bill Gates. I hate him.
That's 2015.
Listen, you know, one of my favorite people to interact with, we do in DMs, is Adam Green, and he can't stop shouting at me about Alex Jones being controlled opposition. And I don't know, man. I know a lot of people in his family have been intelligence. I don't know. But I find Alex Jones beyond entertaining, and two, pretty much right most of the time. Now, there are a lot of stuff that people complain about Alex, like he doesn't go after Israel, and he's got he goes after his Chi-Coms. I'm like, well, you know, that's what we got Adam Green for. You can go after Israel. Alex Jones can go after the Chi-Coms. Dude, he's way more right than he is wrong. Whatever he represents, I don't know. But the times I've interacted with him, he is the nicest guy. He's very generous. And I mean, dude, I'm very blessed. He's been on my show twice. He doesn't have to do it. And it's a giant gift for my show. And I love talk. I can talk to that dude all day and I enjoy it. And he's right again. He's right again. He's right about the Chi-Com. He's right about satanic pedophilia. He's right about them trying to, this ID 2020 stuff that they're trying to shove down his throat. He seems to be more right than he is wrong. And I like Alex Jones. I enjoyed interacting with him, and he's been more than kind to me when he didn't. I would go on and do jokes about Israel, just see if I could poke the bear, and he's still always really nice. So I like him. And he's right again. Bill Gates is an enemy to humanity, and I don't know why we're allowing him to walk free.
Well, that's a great response. I was wondering if you can comment on this next clip that I have by Alex Jones.
I'm sitting there with my, my underwear. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Is it amazing if he's sitting in his underwear? Have you seen that?
I don't know, but he'll eat his neighbor's ass.
Yes,
too,
I've heard
that's
that.
all I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like I have something to do with that because I've been eating ass since 85, and I don't know any other human being who has ever ate ass before that. No one's ever come forward and said, well, I ate ass in 82. So I've been eating ass since 85. I am the Rosa Parks of ass eating. And I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of that.
Founding father of ass eating.
Alex Jones' ass eating is a limited hangout. I think he does much more than that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I agree. And here's the thing about our community, and I push really hard back, is that everybody is a shill, and I think it just is again done. And now, don't get me wrong, there are people obviously in our community that are LARPs, and it is, but it's not everybody. And everyone's always like, the left just eats themselves alive. What do you think the conspiracy community does? I mean, they can't stop going after Whitney Webb, and I love her research. I love hearing what she has to say. She's wonderful. I don't know what her dad did. I don't know. People don't know what my dad did. My dad was a teacher. He was a scumbag. I'm his dad. I'm my father's son. But, it's like I would hate to be judged by my father and what my father was like. So I love Whitney Webb. I love having her on. I think her research great. And when I saw Whitney Webb and the Amazing Polly going at it, that's our community's Tupac and Biggie right there. And they were going at each other. Right? I'm like, please stop it. Stop fighting. Stop it. No, bad. It's like, it's just anti-productive in my opinion. Stop calling everybody a shill. That's my opinion.
Well, the thing is, if you disagree with somebody about anything, it's like they're immediately a shill. It's like you can agree with somebody on everything, and then you find that one topic that somebody might disagree with, and then all of a sudden, they're a shill. They're a shill. I mean, the Alex Jones thing is a perfect example. I mean, people can say what they want. Like, okay, does he kind of stretch the truth sometimes? Does he connect dots, that aren't really that close? But for the most part, like you said, there's a little bit of truth to just about everything he says. He might kind of make it more entertaining or blow it out of proportion at times. But even obviously the gay frog thing, remember, there was a little bit of truth to that. It sounded funny, but there was a little bit, of truth to that. There's a little bit of truth to just about everything he says. And I think even though he's, people say, oh, well, he does more harm than good or whatnot. It's like,
I don't know how
I don't think he does.
How do you do that?
Because he red-pilled a lot of people. I mean, myself, some of the initial stuff I ran into when I first started getting, down these rabbit holes, it was Alex Jones stuff. I mean, obviously Loose Change, Zeitgeist. I mean, so it's like, you don't have to agree with all these people on everything. I mean, I had Titus Frost. Are you guys familiar with Titus Frost, the YouTuber? I had him on not too long ago. He's also from Massachusetts, and we had a cool conversation. And we're talking about how alternative media sometimes eats itself and all this infighting. And I was talking to him about it. He did a roundtable discussion with what was it? I believe it was on, I don't know if it was the coronavirus one or the Epstein one. It might have been the Epstein one. And he was doing this, attempting to put together this roundtable discussion, similar to kind of, what I do. And he talked about how certain people didn't want to come on because other people were on there and they're afraid that they're going to call them out or point fingers or whatever. And, to me, that sucks because it, and I hate to say it, but it's somebody that we all know. Like Ryan Dawson is one that's kind of known for that. When he was on my show, he bashed loose change, and I love Jason Burmis. I think he sincerely is a good person, and just like myself, like I'm gonna be wrong on shit sometimes, but just because you can pinpoint a occasion when Jason Burmis was wrong, it doesn't mean he's a shill. It doesn't mean he had his only intentions were to steer people in the wrong direction. It means maybe he got some information wrong. But at the end of the
I'm
day,
gonna tell you that, dude. And I hate to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
I'm with you on that, man. I love Ryan Dawson. I love having him on the show. When he comes to LA, we always do a show at the Comedy Store. I lost a lot of respect. And this is something I hate about Alex Jones, too. I don't like how they were getting into Joe Rogan's personal life. I don't like how they were saying stuff about what goes on in Joe's life. I love Ryan Dawson. I lost a lot of respect when he did that because I just don't. That's just unnecessary. The guy hasn't killed anybody, raped anybody, molested anybody.
And he's not the enemy. He's not the enemy. He's not the enemy. Yeah. And
he just I get it, Ryan. Here's Ryan. Ryan's very passionate about his take on 9/11. And that's great. But he gets so hunkered in on this one take that he can't come to grips with the fact that somebody has a different take. But at the end of the day, we all agree it's an inside job.
Yeah.
We just have degrees of different how it went. I personally think that the 19 hijackers was all just a fucking bullshit lie. They were here and they just used that as the layers of bullshit. And they flew a fucking drone into the building and they hit it with direct energy weapons. That's what I personally believe. Ryan Dawson would call me a crazy person if he heard that. But it's my opinion and I believe it. But guess what? We both believe that there was an inside job by 3 different governments. That's my opinion.
And we all believe that those details aren't nearly as important as the fact that we agree that there's somebody manipulating the media, manipulating what's going on in the world and using it for wars, for profiting, for increasing their power, all this stuff. So that's what's important. Titus Frost, he was talking about how Whitney Webb found out that Ryan Dawson was invited. He's like, oh, I don't want to come on because, I'm saying this publicly because Titus said this on my show. So it's public information that, Whitney Webb felt uncomfortable coming on because of that. And Jason Burmis too. And it's like, those are 2 of my favorite people to talk to. I mean, and you can, to have all this infighting, like put your energy towards, towards the people who are actually hurting our lives, taking our freedoms away, that their decisions are actually they're actually causing death and suffering and all that stuff. Put your energy towards that, because at the end of the day, for example, David Icke, I think most of us agree. Yeah, the reptilian thing, agree with that or not, that's such a little sliver of his work. And even if you disagree with that, there's a lot of other great information that you'll probably agree with if you give him a chance and you listen to him speak and do his 24-hour lectures, because he does the longest lectures ever. But to me, it's like all this infighting doesn't do any good to the movement. I think when you meet people like the 4 of us, we've all met a lot of different people in the podcast world and in alternative media. You might not agree with everybody, but you can get a sense that their heart's in the right place and their purpose is the same as yours. Their purpose is to spark thought, have conversations that go against the mainstream narrative, help people see things from a different perspective and give them, just a different perspective to look at things. And so it's like, if we disagree on certain details, to me, that's not really that important. I mean, James Corbett, who has, I've talked to 1 billion times throughout, doing podcasts. I mean, he over and over again brings this up where it's just like, these details aren't as big. These small details aren't as big as the big picture. And, I had a 3-hour conversation with Ryan Dawson on my podcast. And then me and him kind of went at it after the show because I noticed that we disagreed on what I think it was the Pentagon, and then he got mad and he commented on my podcast that he's like, oh, I didn't know, because I think it was after we talked, or maybe during my intro, I said, well, me and him disagree on the Pentagon, and he wrote a comment like, oh, I didn't know Ricky was going to go all full retard after the discussion or something like that. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? We had a 3-hour great conversation, and then you're going to act like a jerk like that, And it's just like, to me, it's like, it is frustrating, and I don't want to pick on Ryan Dawson because I think he does.
I love Ryan Dawson.
Let's keep going,
I love having him on, dude. I love having him on. He's a great guy.
I think he does great work, and he's super intelligent when it comes down to, a lot of things. Like, he gives, listening to him talk about 9/11, JFK, the Civil War. I mean, there's so many topics that he has such an interesting, well-researched perspective on. My only issue with him is that creating the infighting is that sometimes he gets frustrated because somebody else has a different perspective. I mean, he would probably say a retarded perspective, but but to me, it's like you're kind of creating all this infighting and putting your focus on somebody who's actually on the same team. It's, to me, okay, I think most of us are sports fans. Like, it's like us being on the Celtics or whatever on a sports team. Never.
Bullshit, Ricky.
and then deciding
Clippers.
we're our goal is to win this game. Sam might want to run the pick and roll. Charlie might want to do an isolation because he has mad skills, and just ISO, but the point is we all want to win. Like, we all have the same purpose of winning the game. We might go about it differently. We might disagree on what play to run or who should get the ball or what defensive strategy. But my point is, like, we all have the same goal and we should focus on that. And the same way that, like, you might have some infighting on a team, but yet, you have to remember, hey, we're all in here for the same reason. We have the same purpose. I think alternative media should do the same thing. I'm sorry, that was an awful metaphor. It sounded better in my head, but
no, it's great. No, dude, it's like why some people win championships and some people win scoring titles. It's the same thing. It's a great analogy, and it is true. And it's just like, there's a guy out there that literally said James Corbett is a shill, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like Corbett, Ryan Dawson, Adam Green. The guy said all these people. It's like, it does nothing. It does nothing. You prove not. It just, when you know these people, especially James Corbett, is like this pinnacle of just like, people are like, who should I go chat? Yeah. It's ridiculous. How deep is this? How deep is this psyop? That he moves to Japan, starts a family, and then then he starts. I mean, like, it's like me and Dave Chappelle wrote the same exact joke, almost word for word, and it was about that guy who shot up the Orlando gay bar, and everyone's like, he's ISIS. It's like, how deep undercover do you have to go that you're Islamic jihadist and you're blowing dudes in gay bars? Like, that's really
that's commitment,
really deep. It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense. And
well, that's like the James Corbett news bud, kind of. That's one of the reasons why he got off Twitter, was because he went at it with Sibel Edmonds, who was kind of doing the same thing. She was turning on, the alternative media because she disagreed with, certain people. And I forget what that infighting was about, but it is ridiculous. It's like, there's actual enemies out there. There's actual people out there who are going to ruin our lives, attempting to ruin our lives, spending taxpayers' money on unjust wars and pushing this vaccine agenda and all these other agendas. And it's like, those are people we should really get people upset about. And so I can't agree with you guys, anymore. And that's the thing that I've loved, is that even though there are some infighting, for the most part, I've had nothing but a positive experience in the whole podcast world. I mean, Sam was super nice to come on my show the first time he came on. I met Charlie, Mike. I mean, I've met James Corbett was one of the first people on my show 6 years ago. And I've been super lucky to have tons of great interactions. I mean, I only have maybe, I could count on one hand.
You have nobody in those seats ever. Every time I'm going to show you, nobody's ever sitting at those tables.
Yeah,
I'm a lonely man. I'm a lonely man. That's actually where I do. I have a TV over here. I do my version of Fight Companion. It's called Fights with Friends, and we watch. That's where we sit, we drink. I actually always have some alcohol down here.
Nothing wrong with that, dude.
And
if you got a problem with it, which I do.
Yeah. Well, you've been sober for how long, Sam? Long time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I relapsed like 190 days ago on weed, but I'm back. And sometimes I want to do shrooms, and God, I just want to do shrooms.
Hey, so here's a question for you, Sam, because one thing that I was just listening to the latest No Agenda podcast, and they brought this up, and I think it was a really good point that haven't even occurred to me, was how many people are missing out on AA meetings that...
Oh, yeah, big time.
That's a huge fucking issue, right?
Dude, this is how bad it is in LA. Dude, they would have a sheriff was talking to a comic friend I know, and he was telling them LA would experience a couple suicides a week. They're up to 5 a day.
Wow.
5 a day, man. And just
the long-term effects of this, it's the negative effects to all this lockdown bullshit is crazy. And the fact that I'm hearing, they just did, speaking of Fight Companion, if you listen to the last Fight Companion, with Eddie Bravo, Rogan, Brian Callen, and Shab, I mean, it was amazing how Eddie Bravo is usually the only one who is and now he was saying things that everybody was agreeing with, and everybody's on board. It's
dude. He red pilled 2 of those, Shab and Callen.
And Callen usually is Brian Callen is usually very, very anti-conspiracy theory. And even on his show, on The Fighter and the Kid, he's been very outspoken about, he's this doesn't make any sense, and how upset he is, and how it's a power thing. And one thing that he said that was really important was how he's I really feel like they're trying to restructure society. And that's kind of, did we lose Sam? Oh, there he is. And I feel that social conditioning is happening. This whole I hate the term new normal. It makes me so upset when I hear new normal. And people should be outraged hearing that term. The fact that it's crazy that that anybody's accepting this, and that people are just well, things are just going to be different now. Why?
Right.
There's so much fucking evidence that over every single podcast I've done in the last 3 months or 2 months or whatever it's been, every podcast I have, hey, did you see this new article about how they misrepresented these numbers, or how these tests were contaminated, or how these tests were given false positives, or how this city said that the state misrepresented their cases? There's evidence after evidence after evidence of it. It's just one of those things where just there couldn't be more evidence about how you can't trust the numbers. So if you can't trust the numbers and you can't trust the tests, then the whole lockdown, face mask, glove wearing bullshit, all that is nonsense. If the structure is wrong, then you can't. I'm getting upset. Sorry, guys.
No. But dude, you're 100% right. And just like what they always do, right? The Hillary Clinton, what'd she do? You listen to Jimmy Dore turn me on to this whole thing, is that, they did polls on what they didn't, what everybody liked and didn't like about Hillary. And the number one thing they came up with that they didn't like, the poll said, was her deal that she did, the uranium deal with Russia. So when she started to falter, what did she do? She started saying that Trump was a Russian asset. And it's the same thing George Bush did to who did he run against the second time?
It was Kerry.
Kerry, where he said he was a disgraced Vietnam vet.
He's
and everyone
flip-flopper.
knows that George Bush probably didn't even serve. So that's what they do. So let's go to what's going on right now. So I have a friend of mine, and it's amazing how, and I live in LA, which is the epicenter of bullshit right now, how all these people, for the last 20 years I've been in this town, just been bombarding me with rich white guys are evil and they're destroying the country, right? And as soon as this shit hit, they're listen to the white billionaires. They care. Racist cops are shooting people. Do what the cops tell you to do, right? So now what they're doing, dude, is they're now taking what we've been saying about them, and they're flipping it on us. So now this thing just came out that And my friend sent it to me. I just want to reach through the email and smack him. But he's like, yeah, the Florida and Georgia numbers are being altered. There's a real rise in cases, but they're altering the numbers so you don't know, which is that the people at the top taking the criticism of all the COVID death numbers, right? And then they're saying that the open up movement is paid for by the other side's version of George Soros, but they never tell you who it is because it's a complete and utter lie. It's the most decentralized movement I've ever seen in my life because there's no lead. Like, it's such a just all over the place movement. Nobody's sent me an email from a leader to say, come here, do this. Maybe it is, but it's just they steal the playbook from the other side, and they transmit what our criticism of them onto what we're doing. It's
classic, project onto your enemy that which you yourself are guilty of. It's a tactic that works really well. And I think with this lockdown, one of the things that more than anything that is bothering the general public, I'm not even talking about our community of the alternative media, but just the general public, is the hypocrisy of where you can and can't go, where you can't go in a small business, but you can go to Walmart. You can't go to the beach by yourself because COVID, right? They don't even give you a good answer. It's like, well, you can't sit there. You can fish, but you can't sit in a chair there. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about viruses or are we talking about control?
This is the analogy. They ran the same operation back when Bush was in power, and it made all the Republicans want to usher in the Patriot Act. This version, what's going on now, is for the more Democratic liberal leaning. It's their version of the Patriot Act. It's like saluting to the state. Yep,
100%, dude. Yeah. And that's how they do it. And at the end of the day, I put out a meme. You ever see that Spider-Man meme when the two Spider-Men are pointing at each other?
Yeah.
And I put under the one Spider-Man the Republicans behind 9/11, and I put under the other Spider-Man the Democrats behind Obamagate. And it's like, it's the exact same people.
Yeah.
The exact same people.
Yeah. Well, my version of theft and robbery is better than your version of it because I did it because of, I don't know, whatever. It's frustrating. It's really, really, really frustrating to the average person that has had their livelihood taken away from this. They were almost willing to do it if they could be assured that their actions would save somebody else's lives. But, and I'm not trying to be morbid here or be disrespectful to people that have already died, but where are all the deaths? Where are all the stacked bodies that we were promised? Where's the blood in the streets?
First of all, I'm in the hot spot. I was just talking to my wife about this. I live in Massachusetts. We're supposed to be one of the hot spots, one of the top hot spots. And I'm getting people contacting me. They're like, "Oh, how bad is it? How bad is it?" I'm like, I have friends that work in the local hospital in Springfield, where the Basketball Hall of Fame is. It's a big city, a lot of people. It's dead. It's slow. I know firsthand that there's people who have passed away that they put on the death certificate, COVID-19, cause of death, and they've actually, in one case, I know a family that actually went to the hospital and had them change it and complained. And so this stuff is happening. I mean, just locally, Amherst was on Mass Live. They reported that Amherst, where Amherst College, UMass, all that stuff. They reported that the state misrepresented how many cases and deaths they had. They inflated it. I mean, these are just the stories that are coming out that we know of. So how much of this stuff is happening that we don't know? I mean, Dr. Burke said during the fact that people are saying, "Oh, it's a conspiracy theory," or not, because when Plandemic came out and that was going viral, that video, and just think about it. You're protecting people from misinformation. Is that why you're censoring this documentary? Well, then why the fuck are you censoring protests? Why are those videos big? That's our constitutional right, and that can't be shown on YouTube. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, all this stuff about censoring it because it's misinformation or whatnot. I mean, I was telling these guys, London Real, Brian Rose just had a podcast with 150 doctors just yesterday, which I believe you can find on his website, which is an issue that we talked about, like this idea that we need one spot for it. Like if you want to, you have to go to David Icke's website, then you have to go to James Corbett's website, then you have to go to London Real's website. It would make it easier if everything was on one platform. But if you go on there, you can see 150 doctors or 160, whatever it was, that all agree with what Dr. Buttar was saying, and he was the one kind of hosting it with Brian Rose. So is this a conspiracy theory? No, it's not a conspiracy theory. When they censor it that much, in some cases, I think it actually, the opposite happens. A lot of people were like, well, if they're censoring it, I'm more interested in this. But I know even the pandemicmovie.com website is down now. And it wasn't. It was the one place where you could find it. And I was sending it to people. I'm like, if you can't find it online, go directly to the website. And that's down. And I don't know the story behind that. But
well, to be clear, I'm not saying that I want to see stacked dead bodies. I don't want that at all.
I thought
Charlie,
you did.
why do you want that?
Yeah, I thought you
why
wanted
do I want
that.
grandma to die? I'm just saying that they told us that's what we were going to be in for.
Well, first of all,
Charlie,
So
what
let us
about
out of
all the
this.
videos out of China about people falling in the streets and shaking and all that stuff that was the precursor to it coming to America? You remember people were in the streets and they were dying and people were like convulsing all over the place.
What do you guys think was all that? Because I even heard guys, and I know, Sam, you're friends with them, Edge of Wonder, they were talking about like, oh, they have inside information that it's really bad in China and all this stuff. And I don't know, maybe it something did happen in China. I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. I know that they have some ties to the Epoch Times or something like that. There's, which kind of, they have their own agenda or whatnot. But you did hear some reports that like China was hiding stuff or whatever. And people are like, oh, what about Europe? And what about, listen, I know that in Europe, okay, the same way they use these tactics in America to scare the shit out of the public, okay, they're doing the same thing in Europe. I've talked to people from Portugal, and I had family that was, I had friends and family that were in Portugal, and people who have been on my show that were in Portugal, and they're like, yeah, they're saying it's really bad in northern Portugal, but I don't know I'm similar to Charlie. I don't know anybody who's sick. I don't know anybody who's dying. I don't know any hospital that's overwhelmed. I don't like the media saying something, and without any real evidence of that happening, people are just agreeing that it's happening. I mean, in Massachusetts, same thing. Everybody thinks like there's dead bodies everywhere. Everybody's dying, and it's like, no, that's not the case here where, anywhere where I live or anybody that I know. So it's like, what to shut down the whole country when even the hot spots, at least parts of it, don't seem nearly as bad as they predicted. And the truth is, people die of shit all the time. Like, people have just been selfishly living their lives, not knowing that people were dying while they were going to work and while they were having fun with their friends and while they're going on vacation. Hospitals were full of people who were under deathbed dying. And if you reported on those deaths every single day, maybe it would make you stop and think like, hey, we should do something about this. But like, I just had Scott Horton on. And Scott Horton and I, for the most part, disagree on this whole thing. He's taken it a little bit more seriously. He believes some of this stuff more. But we had a very civil conversation, which I loved. I wanted to not just have... I was accused of only talking to
He's great with that, dude. Like, we didn't agree on everything, but he's great to have a conversation.
And I had Russ Baker on not too long ago, and he was the same way. We didn't agree. I mean, when Robbie Martin was on, we did I think it was Charlie, you were on that podcast, right? We did a SwapCast with Jeffrey. Same
Wilson.
thing. Yeah, he wasn't... he wasn't necessarily on the same boat or agreeing with us in every aspect of our perspective on it. But we can have these civil discussions. And most of the time, if you have a civil discussion, there's going to be times where you're going to be like, you know what? They're going to be like, you know what? You made a good point. When I had Scott on, similar to those other conversations, there was times where he's like, yeah, you're making a good point. I mean, for example, I talked about driving, right? If it's all about saving lives, then how about all those fucking people who are so concerned, like their life goal overnight has become saving lives, don't ever fucking drive again. Because guess what? That would save some lives. Because that's the argument. The argument is like, oh, well, even if I stay in and it's just a little bit of an inconvenience, could save one life, it's worth it. Well, if you never fucking drive again, you're going to save some lives. So how about you know, if you go to school, do it online. If you have a job, do a job that you can do from home. Never drive again. And you're without a doubt going to save some lives throughout your life.
They're just brainwashing, dude. It's just like I used to do a show called The Naughty Show, and it involved like adult film stars and comedy. It was meant to be like a late night variety show. And it was pretty successful and very popular in Los Angeles for a very long time. And so I got to know some of these adult film stars. And one of these adult film stars who later went on to do stand-up comedy, which lets you know like where stand-up comedy is on the ring. It's like, porn stars do stand up all the time. No comics ever do fucking porn. You know, we are the bottom rung of everything. But so she tweeted, she's like, people keep saying go back to the old way, back to normal. There's never going to be a normal without a vaccine. So stop talking about it. I'm like, you're an adult film star that does stand up. There's no more outlaw than that. And yet you're just regurgitating mainstream media talking points. What are you talking about? You're telling us to listen to the government that was just a thorn in your industry's side forever. They tried to do whatever they could to destroy your industry so you couldn't work in the industry you've chose, which you told us is art. Now you're just sitting over. And it's like, dude, in 2015, we were told the government is evil. Police are racist. My body, my choice. And now, like 2020, it's like, listen to the government. Do what the cops tell you to do. Put a vaccine in you, whether you want it or not. It's unbelievable the flip that happens. And it happens on our side as well. Okay? We have all these people doing this open up marches and protests, and they're pushing against law enforcement. But when that gentleman in Georgia gets shot by an ex-cop, they want to flip around and just say, oh, he's committing crimes. Guess what? You opening up a barbershop in Michigan, that's committing a crime. Should we be shooting people right in the middle of the streets like animals? No, man. That's a human being, and we're a country of laws. It's like I said, the Me Too movement. I mean, excuse me, not the Me Too movement. That's stupid. But the Women's March, the Black Lives Matter, and the Open Up March are all marching against the same people. We need to stop fighting with each other. Why am I yelling?
That's right.
Because you're just continuing what I started. But you're absolutely right. I mean, these stories are insane. I mean, there was an Oregon salon that she opened up, she got fined or whatever. But and then the most disturbing part was that, and I think I have the article somewhere over here, and it was she was fined $14,000 for reopening against Governor Kate Brown's stay-at-home order, and then they sent Child Protective Services to her home afterwards. How fucked up is that?
That's bullshit right there. That's an authoritarian state that has totally lost the plot on what they're supposed to be doing here. Those fucking cops that do that, there is no respect in that. Inside a tight-knit police community, the thin blue line and all that dog shit, those people better be very careful because we've seen this before, right? We saw this in not us personally, but this is what happens in Nazi Germany, right?
Brown shirts.
The rise of the brown shirts that go in and clamp down on everybody early on. But what happened to those people? They were slaughtered by the SS that was brought up as a parallel organization to take them out when the time is right. So all you cops out there that are feeling so tough, hosing down protesters and things like that, just remember this. The government that you work for, that you claim to represent and protect, they don't give a shit about you. They will turn on you very fast, and you'll be switching over to our team. So be very careful how you treat all these people. And what is this thing all about anyway? Why are we all wearing masks and gloves and in our house? Nobody even remembers what it's for. It was to take the pressure off of our hospitals so that the hospitals could prioritize all of these new COVID patients that were coming in. So when they didn't all come in, what are we doing? What are we still doing in our houses? We're not there to protect the hospitals anymore, are we? The hospitals are fine.
That's such a good point, because the thing is that I've been saying this over and over again, is that we've been doing this for so long, this whole lockdown thing, because they kept extending it. Oh, it's just going to be a month. We just need to bend the curve. We need to flatten the curve. Then it's like, well, let's do it a little longer. Let's do it a little. And we've been doing it for so long that we forgot why we did it. And now that the numbers didn't get to the point that they said it was going to get to, that people are just kind of accepted that this is just what we're doing now. And it's like, this is crazy. Like,
I got news for you, Ricky. I work for an extremely large company in the IT industry.
Burger King.
Yes, absolutely right. But I was just told today, or not today, this week.
Spencer's in the mall.
I wish that'd be an easier gig. That the lockdown, we were supposed to go back to work in the office next week. We were just told it is indefinite that we are going to be working from home because of liabilities. They didn't say that specifically, but that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's why if you're the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball, you could open it up, but if somebody goes there and they come down and they get sick, they're going to go looking for the deepest pockets they can find. They'll sue the stadium. They'll sue the ownership of the stadium. They'll sue Major League Baseball. They'll sue everybody, and so now they're in a situation where they're like, everybody's afraid to be the first person back into the pool because they don't want to have that liability of you guys contaminated this, and now you opened up too fast, and therefore now everyone's going to sue you because that's what's going to happen.
And that's why I love Dana White more than ever. Yeah. I was never a huge fan of Dana White. I'm like, I have a love-hate relationship with him. Sometimes I like what he says and what he does, and sometimes I don't. But the fact that he stood up and he's like, fuck all the haters. I don't care who's gonna, give me shit. I don't know. Look at that. One of the twins. And and I'm like, I love the fact that he was willing to just go against the grain and do what a lot of other people were afraid of doing. And you almost needed somebody like him or a Vince McMahon, somebody who's is very, I shouldn't say cocky or arrogant, but somebody who's very confident enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. And
this is like her 11th podcast. She's a podcast veteran. I want to say something real quick about Dana White. I think what he did was great. Just know that Dana White has a contract, the UFC, with ESPN. And if they don't get an X number of events in, ESPN can basically tear up the contract. So he has to get a bunch of... But, hey, dude, do it for whatever reason it is. I just want to say something. Adam Silver is an enemy of the state. He's an enemy of this country. He's raw. People don't realize, man, the more and more the mainstream media and entertainment tells you that someone's a great guy, the more and more you should question everything they do. And all we've heard is about how, oh my God, Adam Silver is a players commissioner. In an era of dog crap fucking commissioners, Adam Silver is the Michael Jordan of dog crap commissioners. He is the worst. And if you actually take all the emotion out of it and you look at the statistics, numbers are down across the board. The attendance is down. Ratings are down. So that's before this. Dude, when that China thing with LeBron blew up in their face, dude, ratings plummeted. And then Adam Silver, in an attempt to get back on that Chinese dick, he was the first one to basically shut down his league because he's a globalist, and he's the first one to do it. And he's been straight up continue. I don't know if we should start. We should have a discussion. He's allowed these players, and listen, we're all on shows that are super political. I have no problems with people getting political, making stances, but the NBA players are a bunch of hypocrites when they take the obvious black-white stance every time, but yet they're super quiet when videos come out of Africans being kicked out of China, and open-air slave trades in Libya. We haven't heard one thing from LeBron James. Not one thing on any of those things. So he's allowed this league to, and I'm telling you guys, the NBA playoffs, if they come back, there'll be good numbers because people are just dying for sports. Next year, when people really start taking a look at what happened and who are major players in it, Adam Silver is in deep shit. And I guarantee you next year's numbers are going to be really bad for the NBA. They were already suffering, and I think they're going to take a giant hit next year. And this is the guy who loves the NBA. Loves it.
Yeah.
I'll stop yelling.
No, but you're absolutely right. It's funny how players attempt not to be political unless they're kind of towing that line where they're just, pro-China, anti-Trump, that type of stuff. I mean, it is. There's nothing wrong with athletes having an opinion. I mean, I'm one of those believers that when people are like, "Oh, shut up, celebrity," or "Shut up, athlete," your opinion doesn't matter. Like, to me, it's like I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. I don't think it should matter more than other people. But I think regardless what you decide to pursue as a career or what you do as a passion, you could still have a good perspective and an opinion on what's going on in the world and big issues. But over and over again, you're like Sam said, I mean, you just see these guys. If anybody's outspoken, it's always the same thing. So it makes you wonder, like, how come only the only people who are outspoken are the ones who are all saying the same thing?
Yeah, I just like they're hypocrites, man. And I'm for. Hey, dude, nobody. I am always on the side of cops shouldn't be doing jack shit to anybody unless it's warranted and their life in danger. Okay, cops shooting unarmed people, it's a hard gig. I have family who are police officers, but they work for us, okay? And dude, and the minute, like I'm near Newport Beach, of course Newport Beach is wide open and they're opening everything up. You know why? Because California realized they couldn't control Newport Beach because people are the power. And they can't let us know that. So the minute you push back, they give in, because if they push back and then you still break through, then the facade is dead. So LA is a bunch of twats. They won't do anything. But Newport Beach, they're opening up everything because that town said, F you, Newsom, Gavin Newsom.
You need people to do that.
We want to do. And I'm telling you, man.
Charlie Baker, of Massachusetts, he opened up the golf courses. I mean, this guy's a piece of shit, but he opened up golf courses. You know why? Because a golf course said they emailed all their members and they're like, hey, we don't give a shit if we have the right to open up or not. We've been cutting grass for no reason. We've been cutting grass and taking care of the course every day, and we have no idea when we're going to open. We might lose the whole season. You know what? We're going to open up. I think it was like a week or two ago. They're like, on this Friday, we're going to open up regardless. They're like, if we open up and we get fined, we'll lose the business maybe. But if we stay closed, we might lose the business anyway. So we might as well, open up. And then that got picked up by Fox News, interviewed the owner of the golf course. And of course, Charlie Baker, who supposedly his intentions are only to protect people, all of a sudden had a change of heart and said, okay, we'll be able to open up golf courses under some restrictions. So it's like, it has nothing to do with protecting people. And like you said, like once people realize that we do have the power and that if you're outspoken, and that's the thing, this public shaming of like, we've been having people over my house just about every Saturday since the shit started. And I'm like, you know what? I hope you bring germs to my kids because, they need to be exposed to bacteria and germs and stuff like that because it's healthy for them. It's healthy for me. It's healthy for everybody involved because your immune system is just like your muscles. If you don't work them out, they get weaker. I mean, you don't want to overwork them out, but you can't underwork them out either. So you have to be exposed to some things. And I think that's another long-term issue that people aren't aware of is the long-term issue of everybody who's because this was an issue with parents not too long ago, with over sanitizing their kids, overusing sanitizer, and then weakening their immune system. And this might happen again with people who are overwashing their hands, all this restrictive oxygen because you're wearing a mask when you're walking by yourself and in a car by yourself. So you're going, how many hours of the day are you restricting oxygen to your system. We know the opposite is healthy for you. Look at Wim Hof. Getting more oxygen can do wonders for your body. Now, restricting it, okay, can probably do some harm in the long term. I mean, you're getting less oxygen into your bloodstream and into your body. I mean, it can't be good for you. And so I lost my train of thought, but I think what you're trying to say
is it's okay to spit on kids because that helps them, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but I think yes, that was my point. Like, I think it is important for people to do that. To go to, I mean, I still, there's some parks that have been caution taped off and all this stuff. Locally, I mean, there's one park that I'm not going to give it away because I don't want to blow up the spot that they've done nothing to, that we still go to and play soccer and do all this stuff. And luckily, knock on wood, like the police locally have been good, where they haven't been harassing people and they haven't. But there's a forum for the town I live in where people will go on there and share pictures and be like, look at these kids playing together, this and that. My wife put a picture of a bunch of moms that had a play date with kids, and a couple people said something to my wife's family that, like, hey, look at, can you believe these kids were all together with no masks and stuff? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, dude. First of all, the kids are like the least at risk. Like, they're the ones who should just be doing whatever. Like, the fact that there's even a possibility, I've talked to a couple of teachers, a possibility that kids might have to wear masks in school. You better fucking believe my kids are going to be homeschooled if my kids have to wear a mask. I'm like, because that's crazy. I mean, and then how many kids, like,
Ricky, you're going to have to dress in drag to do drag queen hour with them. Are you okay with that?
But there's so many, like my son, for example, like, hopefully he doesn't have any long-term effects of missing some school, but like he has a little bit of a lisp that they've been working on. We've been working on it with him, and the school's been working on with him. But who knows if that like might never go away, because when he should have been having days and days and weeks of having some, a expert or a professional work on that with him, working on his speech. Like, who knows if he might forever have that lisp because of that. So it's like, and obviously a lisp isn't a big deal, but I'm sure there's plenty of stories like that of kids who are missing out on things, having their lives affected in a negative manner, all for a virus that we haven't even found a test that we know for sure is accurate. We don't have accurate numbers because not even all the mainstream media websites and channels all agree on a number. And the nice thing about wearing headphones, my screaming doesn't wake her up because we know how bad that could be. But yeah,
they're used to their daddy yelling. That's the best part. They're gonna sleep through everything, So
where's the other twin? Are they both with you right now?
She's over there. She's sleeping too.
Oh, nice.
Mom's sleeping. I'm just, all the vaginas are sleeping right now. So only daddy's up. I'm with you, Ricky. I'm with you. I got to jump off here because my phone's about to die. But I'm with you, dude. And, man, we just keep fighting the fight. And Ricky, I hope you can figure out how to do the broken simulation. Because I would love, I want all the conspiracy theorists to upload their stuff there and get your views, and hopefully the people who go to see my videos will enjoy your videos and enjoy everybody else's videos. So I would do this all the time. I think we need to do more of these. Ricky, you're really good at putting this stuff together, so I appreciate you. Even though I look like I have a haircut of someone that will complain about my jokes at my show, don't I? I totally look like I'm Antifa right here. It's so horrible.
Well,
I tried to get a mohawk and it just didn't work.
You look like a football player, like a soccer player. They always have the crazy fashionable hairdos. It looks like one of those.
I look like I love The Cure. That's what I look like. And that drives me nuts.
Or that. But I think something I want to just say before I let you go. I think the reason why you say I'm good at this, it's one of the talents I have even when I'm gathering my friends in real life. I'm always the person who puts together all the events. Let's grab dinner. I will know everybody. Hey, try to make it. Let's go. Let's do dinner this day. I've always been good at that. But I think the reason why I'm good at this is because of one of the things we talked about. I don't burn bridges. I don't call anybody a shill. I don't say anybody's research is jack shit and trash. I don't, I don't put anybody down because they have a different view than I do. I mean, and I think that's important. You know, the reason why I think people are willing to come on my show with other guests, because they know if I'm saying this person's cool, then they assume like, okay, if they're cool with Ricky, they're probably a pretty cool person that I'm going to have a good time talking to. And I try to filter out the shitheads, and not have those shitheads on. So I think this is one of those reasons why we shouldn't have infighting and we shouldn't turn on each other. So we can, instead of fighting with one another and maybe suppressing or prolonging somebody's growth, let's help each other. And if one of us grows, we all grow, because it's going to help the whole alternative media world. So I think it only benefits us.
Yeah, I'm in, dude. You do a great job, and I appreciate you guys having me on. And anytime we can do it, let's do it, man. I'm in.
I'll get together with Ricky. We'll come up with the Union of the Unwanted email, get everyone on board, and I'm serious about that.
Hey, dude, that is the best name ever. The Union of the Unwanted. And someone go before you publish
buy the domain name. Buy the
domain name, and dude, we just run with it. And I just think, we don't have to do this right now, but Ricky, as you start doing more of these, these 4 or 5 people together things, we should all talk about it, man. You have everybody's email, dude. Maybe you guys should coordinate a giant email and see if anybody wants to jump in and have a talk about it, because I'm in, dude.
I'm in. Yeah, no, we should do that. Do just a big roundtable discussion about, and I guess that'll be the focus of the discussion, just like a alternative, how we go about that. We'll brainstorm ideas on how to do it and whatnot, and having somebody on like Mike, who's actually, as people can probably tell if they're listening, he really knows what the hell he's talking about, to be able to have people like him who really know the tech side of it would be great. So let's do that. I'll try to figure out a way of gathering everybody together again, get maybe even more people, and get people who are willing. Because I know people like Russ Baker, who's been on my show. He talks about his traffic going way down throughout the years to who, what, why, and you hear story of that happening where somebody, even a website that's not really that controversial, like who, what, why, well, people aren't running into his work and they're not running into his website and these alternatives. So we need to fight back and do something. And I think the wisdom of crowds, right? I think that's a quote or saying, the wisdom of crowds. I think you gather people together, and I think Hunter Moss said that on my show once. And you gather enough people together, and we get all our minds together. I can't figure out broken simulation by myself, but with a group of people, I'm kidding. But I'll figure it out. But yeah, I definitely agree, Sam. So I can't thank you enough for joining us, for jumping in, and also bringing the babies was awesome.
Hey, dude, they're podcast veterans, dude. They're podcast veterans, and they love it. And I appreciate you guys. Thanks. My phone's literally about to die, so I gotta jump. Thank you guys for having me on, and keep me posted. Seriously, somebody buy the name before anybody else does. What was the name of it again?
The Union of the Unwanted, and I just got it.
Yeah. Yes, perfect.
Mike just got it.
Perfect. So now you can name this episode the Union of the Unwanted, and I think send it to me, because I'd like to put this out as well.
Will do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. You're the best.
Hey, thanks, Sam.
Take it easy,
care.
Ricky, Charlie, weekend. Sam. We'll get together soon. We'll talk.
Bye,
Mike, Charlie, do you guys want to plug your stuff? Because I'm sure everybody's going to be sharing this. So in case people want to know where to get your shows and your podcasts and all that stuff.
obdmpod.com is like a mix of Howard Stern and Art Bell.
Macroaggressions is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Iconic, and YouTube.
Yeah, same here. Ripple Effect Podcast, available anywhere you can get podcasts. It's also on YouTube, and for at least the time being. So thanks again, guys. Mike, I can't thank you enough for always being willing to help me out with
the best of this.
We will do it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll do it again.
All right. Absolutely.
Bye, guys.
Take care, guys. Hey, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.
You goddamn fucking piece of shit. I know what I'm talking about. I'm Mr. False Flag.